Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. We are diving into AI today. We're going to be cutting through all the hype, trying to figure out how to use this stuff to boost creativity and maybe even make some money along the way.
Yeah.
And, we're kind of building off some stuff that we heard on a couple of podcasts you shared with me.
Right.
It was really cool stuff. But without going over all the basics again, I kind of want to zero in on, making AI work for us.
Right. I think it's funny how many people still think that AI is like a magic button.
Yeah.
They think it replaces human effort.
Yeah.
But the real power of AI is that it amplifies what you're already doing.
So no robot takeover just yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in those podcasts, they talked about this thing called prompt engineering.
Yeah.
What is that? And how technical do you have to be to get started?
Well, prompt engineering is all about giving the AI clear instructions to do what you want. So think of it like you are directing a talented but really literal-minded assistant.
Yeah.
Right. And knowing some code can be helpful.
Right.
Python is popular for AI, but for more complex projects. But there's tons of no-code platforms and tools that are really easy to use.
So I don't have to be a coding whiz to kind of experiment around with this stuff.
No, not at all.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
But those episodes, they really emphasized having some basic knowledge in your field.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, music, design, whatever, to actually get good results.
Right.
Can you give me an example of how that plays out?
Yeah, sure. So let's say you want to use AI to write music. Knowing basic music theory is going to help you craft prompts that'll guide the AI towards creating melodies and harmonies that make sense.
Right.
And you're going to get a much better final product than if you're just throwing random words at it.
Right. So it's garbage in, garbage out kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like you wouldn't expect to walk into a pottery studio and be able to make a perfect vase.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Like some basic knowledge, even with AI tools, some basic knowledge is going to help you go a long way.
Definitely.
So speaking of creating things, those podcasts talked about all these different AI business models.
Yeah.
It was a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, where do you even begin to figure out what's right for you?
Right. There's a ton of options, and they each come with their own pros and cons.
Right.
So, for example, AI music is pretty accessible, but the per-stream royalties are really, really tiny. So you either need to create a ton of music
Okay.
or find a very specific niche.
So, if you're not cranking out AI polka music all the time, niche is the way to go.
Pretty much. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you have something like AI-powered B2B services.
Okay.
So think custom chatbots or AI tools for marketing agencies. You can charge more per client,
Okay.
but it often means you got to build a team to scale effectively.
So higher earning potential, but more of a longer game.
Exactly.
Okay. What about AI for images
Yeah.
and print on demand? That seems to be pretty popular right now.
Yeah, that's a really good option if you want to sell physical products quickly. You can design and list items with AI assistance,
Okay.
and you get direct revenue. But there's a lot of competition.
Right.
You really need to have a unique style or a product to stand out.
Okay. So we've got music, services, physical products. What about AI video? That seems like it's really exploding
Oh, absolutely.
on YouTube and stuff.
There's huge potential for reach and monetization, but the key there is consistency.
Okay.
To build an audience, you need to have a steady flow of high-quality content,
Right.
whether it's educational, entertaining, or some kind of mix of the two. And even the best AI video still needs good editing and storytelling to really resonate with viewers.
It's not just about the tech. It's about understanding the platform, the audience, and how to actually make content people want to watch.
Exactly.
Okay. This is starting to paint a clearer picture, but once you've created something amazing with AI, how do you measure whether or not it's actually successful?
Right.
Because I feel like it's easy to get caught up in likes and views and that kind of stuff.
It is, but those are vanity metrics.
Right.
They don't always translate into real engagement or sales.
Right.
So you need to look deeper at things like watch time, comments, shares. Those are much better indicators.
So it's about quality interactions, not just fleeting impressions.
Exactly.
But ultimately, the bottom line is, well, the bottom line.
Right.
How do you turn those engaged viewers and listeners into paying customers?
That's where it gets interesting. The podcast you shared touched on this, and we can unpack it a little bit more today. One really powerful approach is to think about synergy, using multiple AI approaches together.
Okay, synergy, give me an example.
Okay. Let's say you're using AI to create artwork. You could use those AI-generated images on social media to drive traffic to your online store, where you sell prints or other merch. Or you could use AI to compose music for your videos and then promote your music on Spotify to drive viewers back to your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You got to create an ecosystem where everything is kind of working together.
So it's not just about picking one AI business model.
Yeah.
It's about creating a strategy where different elements work together.
Exactly.
Okay.
And remember, it's got to be financially sound.
Right.
You got to factor in your software costs, platform fees, marketing expenses.
Right.
You want to make sure you're actually making a profit.
Profit over hype.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so we're starting to see how these different pieces can fit together. But even with the best strategy, those podcasts, they had these really interesting real-world examples
Oh, yeah.
of people using AI in some really cool ways.
Yeah.
What were some of the ones that really stood out to you?
One that comes to mind is Taryn Southern. She's a musician who created an entire album using AI assistants. And one of her tracks even hit the global radio charts.
Wow. That's impressive. It
Yeah.
feels like we're really just scratching the surface of what's possible with this stuff.
Absolutely.
But speaking of possibilities, those podcasts, they also mentioned some potential risks
Of course. Yeah.
and challenges with all this stuff.
Yeah.
So what are some things we should be aware of as we kind of go deeper into this world?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is platform dependence. So if you're relying on one platform like YouTube or Spotify for all your income, any changes in the algorithm can really hurt your business.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really important to diversify your income streams
Okay.
and build a strong brand that isn't tied to any one platform.
So don't put all your eggs in one algorithmic basket.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of AI-generated content and copyright.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
It's still a bit of a legal gray area,
Right.
so it's important to stay informed.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're not accidentally infringing on someone's intellectual property.
Maybe wants a cease and desist letter. But it sounds like, even with these potential challenges, there's a huge opportunity here
Absolutely.
for people who are willing to learn and adapt and get creative.
Absolutely. We're still very much in the early stages of the AI revolution, and the possibilities are truly mind-blowing. But to really succeed, you need more than just technical skills.
Right.
You need vision, strategy, and you need to be willing to embrace the long game.
Okay. So we've got the tools.
Yeah.
We're aware of the risks.
All right.
And we're starting to think about the long-term vision. So where do we go from here? How do we actually build a successful business in this world?
That's what we're going to talk about next.
Okay, that's what we're going to explore in part 2,
Right after the break.
right after the break. Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Before the break, we were talking about all these different pieces of the AI puzzle. Business models, the creative potential, the risks, and all that.
Right.
I'm curious to dig deeper into that long-term vision that you mentioned.
Yeah.
What does it actually look like to build like a sustainable AI-powered business?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It's all about sustainability. And one of the most important things is diversifying your income streams. It's kind of like the old saying.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. In the AI world, that basket could be a platform, a product, or even an algorithm.
Right. So if that basket breaks, your whole business goes with it.
Exactly.
How do you actually diversify in a way that makes sense?
Right.
It feels like there's so many options out there. Like, where do you even begin?
It can feel overwhelming, but that's where strategic thinking comes in. Think back to those examples we were talking about earlier. You could be creating AI music, selling print-on-demand products, offering AI-powered services, building video content, or maybe even a combination of all of those. The key is to find ways to kind of weave those different income streams together so they support each other.
Okay. So it's not just about picking one model and just going all in.
Right.
It's about creating a more holistic strategy. Can you give me like a specific example?
Sure. Let's imagine you're an artist who's using AI to create really unique digital artwork.
Okay.
You could sell prints of your pieces on Etsy, but you could also offer custom AI portrait commissions through your website. And maybe you even create a course teaching other artists how to use AI. So suddenly you've got 3 different income streams, each leveraging your core skill set.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
And it highlights how, diversification isn't just about spreading your risk.
Right.
It's also about expanding your skill set and finding new ways to express your creativity.
Absolutely. And speaking of creativity, another key element of building a successful business is prioritizing quality over quantity.
Right.
It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that AI can do all the work for you.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of human talent and discernment to create something that's really exceptional.
Right. So it's not just about hitting that generate button and flooding the market with AI content. What are some ways to ensure that you are creating high-quality work that stands out?
Well, it comes down to curation and editing. Think of it as like using AI as a brainstorming partner.
Yeah.
It generates a ton of ideas, but you need to sift through those ideas, find the gems, and then polish them into something special.
So you're treating AI output as raw material
Exactly.
rather than a finished product.
Exactly.
What are some specific things people can do to elevate that raw material?
Well, it depends on the medium. If you're working with images, you might spend some time in Photoshop refining details, adjusting colors, maybe combining different elements. If you're using AI to write music, you might focus on arranging the tracks, adding live instrumentation, bringing in a vocalist to give it a more human touch.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where, AI and human creativity intersect.
Absolutely.
Okay. But even with the best content, you still need to get it in front of the right people. How does brand building and community engagement fit into all of this?
Well, that's where the human element really shines. AI can create a lot of amazing things,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't replicate the authenticity that comes from building a strong brand
Right.
and a loyal community.
So it's not just about the tech, it's about the people.
Exactly. Your brand is your story. It's what makes you unique, and your community is your tribe, the people who believe in what you're doing
Right.
and want to be a part of it.
Okay. So how do you actually build that brand?
Right.
Cultivate that community in the AI space? It feels like there's so much noise. How do you cut through it?
Well, it starts with being really clear about your values, what you stand for.
Okay.
What is your unique voice? What message are you trying to share? Once you're clear on that, you can start attracting people who resonate with it.
So it's about authenticity and finding your tribe.
Exactly.
How do you translate that into concrete actions?
Right.
What are some practical things people can do?
Well, it really depends on what your goals are, your niche. You could start a blog or a podcast where you share your insights about AI, your process.
Yeah.
You could host online workshops, webinars, teaching people how to use different AI tools. You could even start a membership community.
Oh, wow. So it's about creating a space where people can come together around this shared passion for AI.
Absolutely.
Okay. But all this takes time and effort.
It does.
How do you stay motivated,
Right.
focused on that long-term vision when the results might not be immediate?
That's a great question. It's easy to get discouraged,
Yeah.
especially in those early stages.
Mm.
You're putting in a lot of work and you're not seeing a lot of return. That's where passion and perseverance really come in.
So it's about remembering why you started.
Yeah.
And not giving up.
Exactly. And it's also about finding ways to celebrate those small wins along the way. Maybe you just landed your first client. Maybe you had a milestone on social media.
Okay.
Or you finished a big project. All those little victories can really fuel your motivation, keep you moving forward.
Those are some great insights. It's clear that building a business, like this is about so much more than just the tech itself. It's about strategy, creativity, community, and just having a lot of heart. But before we wrap up, I'm curious, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making in this space? What are some, pitfalls to avoid?
Well, I think one of the biggest mistakes is thinking that AI is a magic bullet.
Oh, yeah.
People get caught up in the hype and think they can throw some money at some AI tools and expect to get rich quick. But as we've been discussing, it takes a lot more than that.
So it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's about treating AI as a tool.
Exactly.
To amplify your skills.
Yeah.
But it's not going to do the work for you.
Exactly. Another mistake is focusing too much on the tech and not enough on the human element.
Right.
People get so caught up in the algorithms and the data that they forget about the importance of building relationships.
So don't forget the heart in the pursuit of the algorithm.
Yeah, well said. And finally, I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of community.
Okay.
They try to go it alone, and they don't realize how much they could benefit from connecting with other creators. Sharing knowledge, supporting each other.
Find your tribe. Lean on each other.
Absolutely.
Those are some really valuable insights to keep in mind as we continue to explore the world of AI. But we've covered so much ground already.
We have.
Let's take a moment to synthesize what we've learned and crystallize these takeaways in part 3. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've covered a lot of ground in this episode. from prompt engineering to these big strategies for building a sustainable business with AI.
It's been quite a journey.
All right.
We explored all these different business models, debunked some myths,
Right.
and even peeked into the future a little bit.
Yeah, my brain is buzzing. I've got all these ideas now.
Yeah, that's great.
But before we wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to just take a step back and distill some key takeaways. What are the most important things to remember, as we navigate this new world of AI?
I think the first principle is to remember that AI is a tool,
Okay.
a powerful tool,
Right.
but it's not a magic solution.
Right.
It's not going to replace human creativity.
So no robot overlords just yet.
Not yet.
Okay, good. Good to know.
But, what are some practical ways that people can kind of shift their mindset to see AI as a collaborator
Right.
instead of a competitor?
Yeah.
I think one way is to think about your own unique skills
Mm-hmm.
and how AI can enhance them. So are you a musician? AI can help you compose, arrange, master your music. Are you a writer? AI can help you generate ideas, help you with writer's block, even help edit your work.
Right. So it's about finding the areas where AI can take some of the load off, I guess.
Exactly.
And you can focus on the things that only you can do.
Exactly. And it's also about recognizing that AI is constantly evolving. What might seem impossible today might be commonplace tomorrow. So it's really about staying curious.
Right.
Keep learning, keep experimenting.
So it's not like a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Yeah.
You've got to constantly be adapting.
Absolutely. You got to
Right.
evolve with the technology.
Okay. But even with the best tools, the best mindset, there's still this challenge of, how do you build a business
Yeah.
that can survive
Right.
in this really crazy landscape?
Absolutely.
Diversify.
Diversify.
Okay.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, whether that's a platform, a product, or a revenue stream.
So we're back to that idea of the ecosystem where different elements support each other.
Exactly.
Can you give us some concrete examples of that, how that might actually play out?
Sure. So let's say you're creating AI music. You could be uploading your tracks to Spotify, Apple Music, but you could also be selling licenses for your music to be used in videos, podcasts, even video games.
Okay.
And maybe even offer custom composition services.
Right. So it's about thinking beyond the obvious.
Absolutely.
And finding creative ways to leverage your skills.
Exactly.
Okay.
And another key principle, prioritize quality over quantity. It's really tempting to think that AI can just churn out endless amounts of content.
Yeah.
But honestly, a lot of it's going to be mediocre.
Right.
So how do you make sure that what you're creating stands out?
Yeah. How do you cut through the noise?
It comes back to curation and editing.
Oh.
Think of AI as your brainstorming partner.
Mm-hmm.
It generates a lot of ideas, but then you got to go through, find the gems, and make them really special.
Don't just hit the generate button and call it a day.
Exactly.
Really refine those creations.
Yeah. Make sure they represent you and your brand.
Yeah. Okay. But even with the best content, you still need to get it in front of people.
You do.
Any final thoughts on that brand building and community?
It's more important now than ever.
Okay.
In this world where algorithms are fighting for our attention, it's that human connection that matters.
Right.
So be authentic, be engaging, build those relationships.
Don't forget the people.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a great reminder. It's not just about tech. It's about the people.
It is.
So find your tribe, nurture those connections, and I guess the most successful businesses are the ones that are built on that foundation of shared passion, human connection.
Absolutely.
Well, with that, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah.
I'm feeling inspired,
Me too.
ready to start experimenting.
Me too. It's an exciting time to be alive.
It is?
Who knows what we can create with AI?
Yeah. To all our listeners out there, we encourage you to just dive in, explore, let your creativity soar.
Absolutely.
The future is waiting to be shaped, and we believe that you have the power to make it something amazing.
You do.
Until next time, keep diving deep.